You've been quiet, Jack. Given up.
I stopped wasting my time. There are bigger threats to this world than Talon.
Is that so? We'll change that.
Hey guys, this is Shroomy, Shroomathan, Mushroom, Shrooms, Shroomster. I have a lot of different names, and I just really like lore. So, in today's video, I wanted to finally tackle a topic that I've been, asked a lot, and I see talked about pretty much every other day on social media. I wanted to talk about the conspiracy. So, the conspiracy is a very long-running and very, not convoluted, but hard to follow plotline. So I think it's time to do a video on it and fully explain my thoughts on it. So theories, examples of who I think's involved in it, etc., as well as just explain it. So we're going to be breaking it down into certain sections as we go through the video. But to start with, this is going to be just talking about the conspiracy. And on a side note, before we begin, I'm trying a different style of content again, so let me know if you like this style compared to others, what you like more, what you like less, more scripts, more not. So just let me know. And so let's get right into it, talking about the conspiracy with the first segment. What exactly is the conspiracy?
I'll find out who really runs the world. I'll find their weaknesses and how to exploit them. And when I do, I'll be the one pulling the strings. Who is Sombra? You'll never know.
The conspiracy is the idea of like a shadow government organization, an Illuminati if you can say, that basically controls the world from the shadows. This has been a thing in Overwatch for a very long time, all the way going back to Sombra's origin story with her web, and we always kind of thought it was just Sombra's pet project and, conspiracy that would eventually maybe lead somewhere, but a lot of people kind of considered it just a fluff and background thing to the world. As the story has gone on, this is clearly not the case now, and this is arguably the most important plot aside from the main PvE plot, which seems to be in limbo. So there's a lot that's happened in this plotline over the last 2 years, and I think it's really important to make a video talking about what this organization is, some speculation and theories. We'll go over the history now, and then continue on from there.
So she kept hacking. Politicians, corporations, governments. It was an addiction. But for the first time, someone noticed her.
As the story goes, for Overwatch 1, we just knew that Sombra was hacking and doing her thing, and she got noticed by this organization. So this was all we had for the longest time, and it seems to have happened to her at a very young age, and then she became Sombra afterwards and tried to hide herself and also try to find the truth and find who this organization is. And it really set her up as a character to move forward. This is all we had on them for a long time, and it was and basically is the only real confirmation or mention of them with a voice actor and stuff so far. But that's not all we had to chew on here. We also had the web, which I'm going to pause a little bit on the history and just go over the web real quick at the time and talk about the major details of it, because there's a lot to unpack with the web. The easiest way to break down this web is we're just going to do it faction by faction and get the smallest ones out of the way and then go to the bigger ones and kind of explain where that was at the time. So first, we have Lumerico. Lumerico was important to Sombra's story and still is. They're a very big power manufacturer in Mexico, and they basically control all of the power throughout Mexico. So they're here because I assume the conspiracy probably has a hand in just where they distribute electricity and just keeping tabs on them. So I really don't think it's anything more than that for the moment. For the other bigger faction here, you can see Numbani. Numbani, I think, is just here because of the Mystery Omnic, who you can see on the side over there as well. I think that's just there for that, and we'll definitely get into talking about them more because I have a lot of theories about them that'll be coming up later. But those are the two smaller factions here. Let's just go ahead and break down, I think, probably the third most important in this. Let's break down everything with Volskaya. As for Volskaya, I think a lot of her importance here comes down to the mystery Omnic I mentioned before. So, aside from him, the Volskaya stuff, I think it's just trying to show that they are being puppeted from the shadows by this mysterious organization just as everyone else is. And this Omnic, whoever he is probably a part of the conspiracy, or at least a puppet as well. He seems to be a pretty good lead that Sombra has, connecting not only Volskaya, but Numbani to the conspiracy, and we've never heard about him since. So I'm assuming he is in some way a part of this, and that's why Volskaya is connected. And why would they want to fund Volskaya? Well, Volskaya keeps the war going. They keep the distance between Omnics and humanity strong. And I think that's kind of what the conspiracy wants, but I'll go more into that at the end in a theory and speculation segment. For now, let's go back to talking about the other two big factions, where I don't think there's really a lot I can add right now. For the other major factions on the web, Talon and Overwatch, I think Talon is mainly here just to show, like, hey, these characters are connected to the conspiracy in some way through Talon, such as Widowmaker or the tease of the Doomfist Gauntlet. This was mostly a thing to set up things for the future and talk about, hey, these characters are in the game and they're important to the lore. I don't really think it's much more than Talon right now. Once again, I'll talk about them more later, especially Doomfist. But yeah, as for Overwatch on this, I believe Overwatch, this was trying to imply that the conspiracy either controlled Overwatch back in the day or orchestrated everything that happened to the organization, which, once again, we'll be talking about when we get back into the history of this faction. So, with all of that, I think that's the web done. Yeah, if you have any specific questions about the web, please leave them down below. There's a lot of little pieces here. I don't think I'm going to dissect them all. But yeah, with that, let's get back to the history of this faction, starting with, well, I guess continuing with, Overwatch 2. With Overwatch 2, we really didn't get a lot on the faction until the short story bundle came out called Heroes Ascendant. So, in Heroes Ascendant, it covers a lot of stories about a lot of characters who are not involved in the PvE, from Orisa and Ify, to Hanzo and Kiriko, Symmetra and Lifeweaver, all the way to Jack Morrison. So, Jack Morrison is involved in two stories in this. The first one is about him and Ana, and if you didn't know this already, at this point in the timeline, they were working together trying to stop Reaper or figure out what's going on with Talon and thwart their plans. But at this point, Jack finally breaks off from Ana and goes on his own direction to meet with his contact, who has been a character that we knew Jack had in the background for a long time. So, in the other story, we find out Jack's contact is Sombra, and Sombra asks him to help her break into a government facility to find out what really happened to Overwatch's HQ. So, if you don't know about Overwatch's HQ, there was a big accident that happened there. The base basically exploded. No one really knows why. The theory was that it was because of Gabriel Reyes or Reaper, but obviously a lot of fans didn't really find that very credible, but that was kind of all we had for a long time. So, Jack breaks into this facility, and as he's breaking in, Sombra told him he would know what object it was he was supposed to find when he sees it. He didn't know what that meant until he found it. In a box basically full of rubble and old debris from the base, he finds a disc, and on that disc is an eye with 3 dots above it. That is the symbol of the conspiracy. We've seen it on the Sombra web, and now this is confirmed it is their symbol. But not just that, this also confirms the conspiracy is the reason Overwatch fell. They're the one who blew up the base, or was at least involved in it, and they're the reason everything has gone wrong for Jack. So, this became Jack's goal to figure out who the conspiracy is, and he moved forward finding, well, the truth. And with Sombra by his side, the two of them found out that this disc was part of the conspiracy, obviously. Sombra wants to figure this out, Jack wants to figure this out now, so they form an alliance, and Sombra tells Jack to head off towards Oasis, because apparently a lot of what they're seeking can be found there. So, this was another thing that people thought, maybe the conspiracy was involved with Oasis, got confirmed here. Before we get to that point in the timeline, Jack Morrison sets off towards Oasis and makes a quick pit stop in Runasapi to meet with another of Sombra's contacts, who he doesn't know at first and is not told who it is at first, but eventually meets Alari. And him and Alari basically team up to break into another facility, this time run by Oasis, which Oasis is apparently in Runasapi trying to study the technology and help the city after what happened with the Inti warriors. So, after that, Yari and Jack band together, break into the facility, and basically, they have to delete all of the data on the Inti warriors, which stops Oasis from getting that data, but also breaks Yari's heart. The story that this happens in is going to be called it's the Pride story from this year. It's the one with Jack and Yari. I'll put it up on screen. Very good read. Highly recommend this one. But for the conspiracy specifically in this, I'm just going to jump to the ending, which Jack says goodbye to Yari and starts to head off once again for Oasis. So, obviously, this story, the biggest takeaway is, because it's a part of this plotline, it's just reconfirming that Oasis is involved in the conspiracy, and it's implying that the conspiracy had something to do with the Inti Warriors' demise, which, once again, a lot of people theorized about this before, so, yeah. And with that, that's all of the history of the conspiracy so far done. So, I think next we should just start talking about thoughts and theories, and this next section is going to be a lot more rambly, probably, because there is a lot I have to say about this faction, but I hope you guys enjoy. The conspiracy being this faction that basically rules the world from the shadows is a good idea and a fun idea, but also an idea that I think can get really steamrolly and kind of gets to a point. Like, did they orchestrate the crisis? Are they involved in every bad thing that's ever happened? I really hope that we get more on them so that they can put a fine line between what they did work on and what they didn't, because this can obviously get very conspiracy theory heavy as we go in the story. So that's my big hope for when we get more of this, which I think is what we're going to be getting next of like the major storylines. I think next we'll probably be seeing Jack Morrison in Morocco, if I had to assume, which is Atlas, the new map that came out. I talked about it in my Atlas video a while ago, but I think because Atlas, if we follow where Jack has been, he's probably going to go Runasapi, then Atlas, then Oasis, simply because it's in between Oasis Atlas and Runasapi, sorry, it's between there. But yeah, so I think that's where we'll probably go next, and we'll probably get some lore about not only Hazard, because apparently he's in Atlas right now, or was there recently thanks to the teaser on the map, but probably on Helix as well. A lot of the audio on the map is propaganda for Helix, and everything on the map is just screaming to me Helix is very important. It's probably where we're going to be going next with the conspiracy. So, yeah. Aside from where that is going, I think we need to talk about Oasis for a bit, because Oasis is very important to the conspiracy, and it's been a long-running thing in Overwatch. So, Oasis. This map has so many little red flags about the conspiracy going on, let alone heroes connected to it. I think the biggest thing we should talk about here is that tower. It's apparently a tower that's supposed to be like the center of the city and everything runs through it, but it also has a lot of different systems and stuff that we've learned about in Overwatch Declassified. Like, apparently it's a cybersecurity system in there, but also there's electronics and there's stuff going on. Also, it's not entirely done, and the purpose of it isn't fully known to the public. So, if the conspiracy is building this tower in Oasis, it would make a lot of sense. Because the conspiracy is so mysterious, we don't even really know what they want. Aside from one idea I have later. But, yeah, this conspiracy tower, as I like to call it, is probably going to be the most important thing that we're finally going to get to learn about when Jack arrives in Oasis, so I'm really excited to hear about that. Also, I think another thing that was trying to tease us about all of this is Moira. So, a lot of people have made the assumption that Moira is a part of the conspiracy. I don't entirely believe she's a part of it, but I do think she's being manipulated by it. So, if you look at her Overwatch 2 design, she has a mask on one of her eyes, and it has 3 little dots above it. I believe this is trying to imply that she is involved in the conspiracy or is being manipulated by them. Maybe it's supposed to be a thing of like, you know, the mask is kind of covering her true intentions or whatever. Or maybe the conspiracy is the mask and it's kind of guiding her, not literally, but metaphorically. So, yeah, that was something I wanted to bring up as well. But lastly, I think the only other major theory I have is what exactly does the conspiracy want? And I think it has a lot of the same goals as Doomfist does, just from how they've acted, where they want to see humanity thrive and strengthen through any way and keep them on top. but not in the way of like Omnix being below, but more so just for humanity to evolve. And I think Doomfist's goals make a lot of sense to be aligned here. I mean, look at how they treat Volskaya. Like, looping this around back to the beginning, Volskaya seems to be a faction that they continue to give resources to just to continue to make the war go on. And that's something I think is a very important red flag to like just let me know and give me an idea of what their goals are. But I should say this is just a theory. We have no real idea of what their goals are right now. But I do hope we find out soon when Jack arrives in Oasis. And with all of that out of the way, that's everything we have on the conspiracy, as well as me just kind of speculating and theorizing on a couple heroes and locations. I hope this video was helpful to people who had no idea about the conspiracy or what it was. This was really fun to make, so please let me know if you enjoyed this stuff down below. Don't forget to like and share and all that stuff. And thank you guys for 300 subscribers. It's been a wild ride so far. And thank you for the first video getting to 1,000 views, the Liu Chang video. I see you guys like the lore stuff on factions, and we will keep it going with another one, hopefully very soon. But yeah, that's all from me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video once again, and if you guys have any questions, theories, speculation, please comment below. I try to read everything, and I will talk to you guys later.